Good day, everyone. Today's lecture is on providing effective customer service. So, we are faced with the following learning objectives: apply effective verbal and nonverbal communication skills to respond to customer needs, provide prompt and quality service to customer, handle queries promptly and correctly in line with enterprise procedures, and handle customer complaints, evaluations, and recommendations. So we're going to start with the selling and upselling techniques, of course. So let's start with what Walt Disney said. Do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring their friends. See, this is a very good quote for um, marketing strategies when we sell and our products. So do what you do so well, whether that is goods or that is service, and they would be able to see and appreciate it. At the same time, the good thing there is they will bring their friends with them. So yan si Walt Disney. Let's try to differentiate now what is selling and upselling. Okay, so selling is the ability to transfer goods to our render or to render service for another in exchange of money. Okay? Of course, when we sell, we give our goods or our services and they're going to pay us. On the other hand, we have a term which is upselling. Upselling is actually just one of those other terms that are there in business. So, upselling is a sales technique where a seller induces the customer to purchase more expensive items. So this is where upgrades and add-ons come in. Yeah, even in online selling, we have a lot of this one upgrades and add-ons. When you go to um, a restaurant, for example, they'd offer you some upgrades. So probably you'd like some like this to add to your order. And sometimes, yeah, oh, I think that's something wonderful. So you end up buying them. So that is an upselling technique. I have here a picture with me. So you have here your cow. So the cow being sold to you is $500. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot find any photo with pesos in it. Anyway, the idea is here. But in upselling, they will give you this try our best selling cow. You must have seen a lot of that. So, see what's the difference of this one? Maybe it's a more lively cow, a wider cow, a happier cow, a bigger cow. I don't know. So, the better cow cost only $550 or $50 more. There. So buy a cow from me and I'll offer you a better one for 50 bucks more. The better cow is an upsell. So instead of you just buying the cow, you would think, oh, so I get to have a better cow with just $50 more. But actually, if you analyze carefully, well, the better cow is supposed to be a more expensive cow because it's a better cow. But then the statement here is with just $50 more, then you get to have a better cow. So that is what we call an upsell. How is this done? So you pitch a relevant upsell. Okay, you need to understand exactly what sort of upselling your customer would need instead of just pushing any old upgrade at them. So this is a mistake many people do. They push on any upgrade that they have, but then they fail to understand exactly what the customer needs there. So I think this is very important. Um, it's not just for you to sell what you want to sell to your customer, but also you'd be able to satisfy what they need there. Next one is provide consistent value. So you have to provide a consistent value. So if a customer is looking to buy apples, try selling them sweeter and better quality of apples instead of convincing them to buy oranges. So see, since that is what they need, that is what they want. Apple lang gusto ko eh. Bakit mo pinapipilitan yung mangga? Yan. So you have to be consistent there. Identify the customers who have a need also. So most businesses assume that their job is over when the sale has happened. You have to understand that that is not the case. They think they only need to worry about the particular customer again when it's time for renewal or a possible upgrade. No, you are only thinking about yourself if you do that. You have to identify the customers who have a need or what are their needs every now and then so that you would know how to deal with their needs. Okay? And help, don't sell. I think this is the best part of it. Help, don't just sell. Meaning, you have to look at the welfare of your customers and not only your business. So, it's a fallacy to assume that the customer will be ready to upgrade as soon as you ask them. You need to constantly nurture them, even post-sell. Send them nice newsletter, giving them news about your company. So, see, you are trying to help them at the same time you are selling yourself. From the very start, use a good tool that lets you know what your lead is interested in. This will help you understand what he wants to buy from you, and if there is any way you can sell him a bigger or better first version in the future, then you do so. Okay? Always look to add value to the customer. Don't say buy a pro plan because it is better. They are not interested. Instead, tell them how it is better for them or their businesses by upgrading. How is this relevant? It's just that, do not just say that, this one is better, but how can it be helpful to them? So there you are helping them and not just selling. Okay. Still on how. So here you have here offer a price discount. If you can do that, then why not? Create a feeling of urgency. This is something also. But please make sure that you are still on the limit. Do not go beyond kasi you must be giving them a feeling of urgency to the point that they will be going beyond what they need already. So check if your customers are happy before upselling. Yeah. Do not just upsell. You try to make sure that they are happy with what they are buying. Then convince them with real life examples. Meaning, you are just being sincere because it's true, it's really happening. Do not fabricate ideas, and you have to follow up constantly. Okay? So, we have in here some interview techniques also. Okay? And of course, along with these are the different types of interviews. The first one is a video interview technique. So, especially during this pandemic, there are a lot of video techniques that are going on. So, first one is you have to practice your video software to interview beforehand. Next one, you have to test your computer's microphone and camera. Then position yourself in an area with proper lighting. Nowadays, they are buying this selfie lamp. I don't know. I don't remember how they call it. But anyway, the round thing, the round light, and it gives a good effect. Try to use the same body language you would in an in-person interview. This is also very important. Then we have the next one. We have the phone interview. Research the company and review the job description. Okay, when even in any type of interview, you have to research the company and review the job description. You have to know what you're talking about and you have to know what you are dealing with. Keep your resume, interview notes, and other materials nearby, and you have to move to a quiet environment there, since that is a phone interview. Now, if you're going to do a one-on-one in-person interview, then you have to act polite and engaging. Then you also have to stay friendly and professional, but be sure to show your enthusiasm and passion. Well, if I were a company owner, then I would not like to get someone for my company who has no enthusiasm and passion at all. Okay. Then there are also group interviews. So still, you have to be friendly and polite to the other candidates. Listen to other candidates' answers. Do not cut them while they're talking. Remain confident, charismatic, and relaxed. That's also very important. There is this new type technique. We call it the STAR technique. It provides a real life workplace example. So there's a simulation. Describe the role you played in the situation. You have to describe your role in the situation. How can you manage the situation? Then you have to explain the steps you took to resolve the issue or challenge. Sometimes they're going to ask you, there is an angry customer. How are you going to deal with him? List the positive results you brought in after completing the action and resolving the issue. Okay, so that is the STAR technique. And we also have the panel interview. So in here, you have a series of people, I mean, a lot of, not a lot, more than one people who are going to interview or ask you questions. So focus your attention on whoever is talking. Remember too the names of each person on the panel also, and prepare yourself for any follow-up questions. This is a panel interview, therefore there could be follow-up. There are really follow-up questions, so you have to be ready. Other things to remember: sell yourself, dress professionally, send a thank you note. In the discussion a while back, we have been talking about selling and upselling a product, but in here, in a job interview, you are trying to sell yourself. Okay, so you have to dress professionally, and sometimes they do a thank you note, but it's not really must. It it's just up to you if you'd like to do that. Well, there would be some people who would say a thank you note would be a kind of a bribe. So I don't think that would be a good thing to do. The next thing that we'll be talking about is conflict resolutions. Okay, so in the workplace, there would be a lot of conflicts. But the thing is, how are you going to manage these conflicts? You cannot just say, I had a conflict with one person, and so I have to leave my job. I want to go to a better company. We cannot just be like butterflies who keep on transferring from one company to another just because we cannot get along with other people. Okay, that's just wrong. So, how? First is listen, then speak out. Believe it or not, just listening to an employee's issue is the first and foremost important step in resolving the conflict. Sometimes we don't know how to listen, but when you try to listen, you would know the real problem or where the problem really lies. You should simply listen to all the parties involved to completely understand the nature. Sometimes, if we only listen at one side, remember that we are only faced with one perspective. But we have to look in all the perspective, just like this figure in here. Remember this as 3D. If I'm looking at it only this side, then the other side is not seen. If this is an apple, tapos bulok yung other side, pero ang ganda ditong side, sabihin ko, wow, bibilhin ko yung apple. Hindi ko pala nakita dun sa likod niya, bulok pala. So see, listen, then speak out. Next, gather the group. As a leader, you'll need to arrange a meeting with all those parties involved. Then give them a chance to speak for you to be able to listen to them. Next, be impartial. Don't take sides. In a leadership position, you shouldn't display any sort of opinion that favors one over the other. If you are partial towards a person, try to assess the situation from all sides to come up with a fair and reasonable solution. Pag nakikita mo namang may punto ang isang side lang at wala yung isa, then you just have to explain it properly. Next, do not postpone conflict resolution. Otherwise, the situation could escalate and could even affect the employee's performance. So we are trying to avoid that. Okay. Next, promote teamwork. This is very important. Encouragement and motivation are very powerful. Next one is broadcast praise. As stated above, the power of encouragement and motivation can be multiplied when it is spread to recognize those who are modeling the teamwork and cooperation that is desired within any conflict. So try to give suitable models in these instances because behavior modeling can be risky if there are elements in the model that are undesired. So it is important to note that while resolving workplace conflicts, you need to consider your company's regulations and policy for you to have an easier and more sound decision at the end. Okay. Next is the communication process. So the communication process is also very important in a company. Okay, so we have here the communication process, the communication cycle there. So in the communication process, you have to have the sender, the message, and the receiver. And then along with this one, we have the interference or the barriers, but then we also have the channel. Okay, and we have the feedback because it will not be the communication will not be complete if the receiver will not give a feedback to the message that he or she received. So the communication is a two-way process of shared understanding. You notice here, I tried to highlight shared understanding. It is a dynamic process that begins with the conceptualization of ideas by the sender going to the receiver. But as I mentioned, while we are doing this communication process, there could be some communication barriers. So these barriers are those things that prevent us from getting across, okay, to our receiver. And for us to be understood, dito lumalabas yung misunderstanding. So a barrier is anything that prevents, restricts, or impedes the conveyance of meaning. It can be called an obstacle, a hindrance, or noise. There are different types of barriers, communication barriers. We have the first, physical barrier. So physical barriers in the workplace include marked out term territories, like this is my territory, this is my kingdom. Yan. They should not be allowed. Closed office doors. Closed office doors, laging close yung door, ibig sabihin may restriction, hindi ka dapat pumasok, ganyan. So, mahirap yung communication pag ganon. Large working area or large working area, so you are physically separated, so that's a physical barrier. Next one, we have the perceptual barrier. So the problem with communicating with others is that we all see the world differently. That's why it's perception. I mentioned that earlier already. How we look at things from our perspectives. So we have to learn how to understand each other. Where is this person coming from? Why is he or she acting this way? Why is he or she saying this? So perceptual barriers. Next one, emotional barriers also. It's one of the chief barriers to open and free communications is emotional. The emotional barriers is comprised mainly of fear, mistrust, suspicion. Many bosses can be like this. They mistrust you, they fear the company. I mean the yes, something, the failure of the company, suspicion among each other. I think this gossip came from this person, and so it goes on there. That's an emotional barrier. Then we also have number four, cultural barriers. Sometimes we are guilty of this one. Yeah, we try to join a certain group and we wish to remain in it. Sooner or later, we have the same behavioral patterns already, and we are not willing to accept the others. So there is a problem with that. Cultural barriers. Next one, we have language barriers also, especially if there are some expressions or jargon that we don't understand. But we have to remember that this is also related to the cultural group where we came from. Meaning when we say culture, it's basically the group of people. It's not necessarily ethnicity. Okay. Then we also have the gender barriers. This is something new. Yeah, some people, some would say that they are being discriminated. I don't know if that is true, but whether whatever the gender is, then there should be no discrimination. We also have the interpersonal barriers. So there are 6 ways that people can distance themselves. One is from withdrawal. I'm getting away from you. It's the absence of interpersonal contact. It is both refusal to be in touch, okay, with others. Then we also have rituals. So rituals are meaningless, repetitive routines devoid of real contact. There, we also have pastimes. Pastimes fill up time with others in social but superficial activities. Feeling mo nag-enjoy, hindi pala superficial nga eh. Next, working. Work activities follow the rules and procedures of contact but no more than that. Then games. Games are subtle, manipulative interactions which are about winning and losing. They include rackets and stumps. So next, we also have closeness. The purpose of interpersonal contact is closeness. So, good interpersonal contact promotes honesty and acceptance. We also have to be very careful about our interpersonal barriers. Okay, because if we have these ones, then we would not be able to communicate properly with our coworkers and with our bosses. Okay, so that's all for now. Thank you so much. We have here our sources, and I'll see you again in the next video.